Summer is the perfect time to rethink homeschooling. You might be feeling pressure to choose curriculum or fix those learning gaps or make plans for next year. But I want to talk to you about exploring summer as a natural transition season for homeschooling and unschooling families. I want to talk about how to let go of educational timelines and how to recognize the learning that's already happening. So you've noticed that summer has a different feel to it. School's over. The next school year hasn't started yet. And all those routines that carried us through last year have loosened a little bit. And suddenly we are left with space. For some families, that feels really exciting. For others, it feels a little unsettling. Questions start creeping in, like, what are we doing next year? Or should I change something? Should we be doing more? Should I buy curriculum? Is unschooling really working? So if you've found yourself asking questions like this, you are not alone. I think summer is kind of a liminal space, a threshold, an in-between season. Not quite what came before and not quite what's coming next. And because we're standing in that in-between place, many of us feel pressured to get it all figured out. But what if summer isn't asking us to decide? What if it's just asking us to notice? Let's talk about that. I'm Sue Patterson, and this is the Unschooling Mom to Mom podcast. I'm coming in here each week with a little unschooling pep talk for you, something to help you feel a little reassurance that this could work. Yes, it's unconventional. Yes, we've stepped away from the status quo. We've moved off the conveyor belt of school, but we've moved into the world where there are so many opportunities to learn. And I want to help you see some of those because when we look only through a school lens, it's very narrow. You have an opportunity to widen it. So today we're talking about this liminal space. It's really just a time of transition. It's the hallway between one room and another. It's the pause between chapters. Most of us recognize that liminal space between Christmas and New Year's. The holidays are over, the new year hasn't arrived, and normal routines don't fit. During that week, time feels suspended. And summer can feel exactly the same way, especially for homeschooling and unschooling families. One season's ending, another's approaching, but because the rest of the world is busy talking about grade levels and who's getting what teacher or curriculum choices and back to school plans, it's easy to feel like you should be making some decisions too. We have this urge to get in there and fix everything. Something happens during summertime that parents start evaluating, maybe more than they should. We replay the year in our minds. What worked? What didn't work? What should we change? What should we buy? What should we do differently? And sometimes that's helpful. But sometimes it's just anxiety wearing a productivity costume. We convince ourselves that because we're thinking about education, we're making progress. But thinking isn't always the same as noticing, and planning is not always the same as understanding. So before you change anything, before you decide what the next year should look like, I want you to take a moment and look at what's already happening. What excited your child this year? What captured their attention? What conversations kept resurfacing? What skills developed naturally? What challenges helped them grow? Maybe what surprised you? Because sometimes we're so busy looking for what didn't happen that we completely miss what did. One of the most powerful shifts parents can make is learning to notice the learning before trying to improve the learning. Because once you can see what's already working, your decisions become much clearer. The child is still the curriculum. And summer is a wonderful way to reconnect with the actual learner. If we can stop focusing on the curriculum or creating a checklist or a plan, we can see the child. So what are they interested in right now? What are they talking about? What are they creating? What problems are they trying to solve? What skills are they developing because they care about the outcome? Summer can reveal things we've missed during the busier parts of the year, and those observations often tell us more about what comes next than any curriculum catalog ever could. You don't have to solve September in July. I think this may be the reminder that many of us need. You don't have to figure out the next 12 months this week. You don't need a complete plan before your child can continue learning. Learning is already happening and life is still unfolding. Curiosity doesn't stop because you haven't finalized next year's plans. Summer invites us to slow down enough to see what's actually there before rushing to the next thing. Liminal spaces can feel uncomfortable because they lack certainty, but they're also where reflection can happen. Here we can notice patterns and maybe reconsider some old assumptions. This is where possibilities emerge. We're tempted to rush through the discomfort to get to a decision. You might have that urge to make a decision and buy something. It's as if creating a plan will fill the space and stop the worrying. But we've done that before. How many decisions have we rushed through and regretted later? Sometimes the most valuable thing we can do is simply remain in this uncertain space for just a little while. Because if we shift our focus to observing more, to listening and noticing, we'll gather more data. And that data is what's going to make it easier for us to trust. So if you're feeling uncertain right now, that's okay. It's a good thing, really. Summer, as this in-between season, gives us permission to not make a decision yet, to let more information come in without jumping to make it a fast answer, without all the data. When you can notice your child more, the rhythm of your family, you might see things working that you overlooked before. So allow yourself to sit in this liminal space just a little bit more. You may discover that clarity arrives not when you force it, but when you finally give yourself permission to pause. And if you need a little hand-holding while you do this, I can do that with you. I can help you refocus on your kids and what matters most to you. We can talk one-to-one, or maybe it would be helpful to talk with a whole collection of parents on this unschooling path. We know what the mainstream status quo looks like. Maybe it's time to pull back the curtain and see our options to that. You can hop into our community anytime or get on my calendar for a quick private call. Whatever you need. Unschooling works. I want you to borrow my confidence so that you can take the time to notice what's really happening with you and your learners. That's the heart of unschooling. All right, take care. Have a great week, and I'll be back again soon.